tonight joined by a friend, a dear friend, Coach Travis Juice Jewett, University of Southern Cal. And we are going to talk, amongst other things, hitting, mindset, approach, all things regarding offensive baseball. We're going to talk USC Trojan baseball, what it's like being out there this fall for the first time with Coach Stankiewicz and Coach Brown. And then we're going to get into a little bit of talk tonight about college recruiting as a whole, where it's headed, where it is, all those good things. Want to make sure you subscribe. Want to make sure you like. And any comments or questions that you have, leave them for us down at the bottom, and I'll make sure I get them answered. Juice, welcome to the show, Captain.
Walter, thank you so much. You made me smile kind of there when you're introducing your get off, because the friend part is probably what connects to me the most. And so I do appreciate you, your friendship, and just we've got a lot of good memories together. And, we're still talking after all these years and stuff like that. So we know it's a strong one. I appreciate what you do, not only for me, but just college baseball kind of in general, and all the information and the people that you connect baseball people with, fans with, people that want more information. It's very powerful. I find myself watching and listening to it myself. So thanks for having me.
I am deeply appreciative of your kind words, my good man. Now, the first thing I want everyone listening and watching here tonight to understand, there's not a better offensive coach when it comes to hitting a baseball. And now I'm not talking about hitting gurus. I'm not talking about social media. I'm talking about hitting, real live hitting instruction. There is no one better. If you find yourself crossing paths with Coach Jewett and he wants to talk hitting, pull up a chair, grab a paper and pen, get yourself ready, because he's going to give you a lot of info. So Travis, I've been around the turtle with you a lot. I listen to a lot of the things that you say. One thing that parents always want to ask me is, when you are recruiting, whether it's a high school student, a JUCO, in today's world, the poor, some that you're looking for when it comes to kind of evaluating a hitter.
Well, it's a great question. I think a couple of them, Walter, obviously would be, we're looking at setup to a certain degree, right? We got to start somewhere. And then more than anything, it's just, does this hitter, no matter what he's trying to do, does he have some rhythm? You know what I mean? Does he understand what a wiggle is and a butt shake and a little hand movement? Because hitting is all about relaxation. It's about movements. And it's about being able to get your body to the center, or we like to say, so that we can turn fast, but get there on time in a repeatable fashion. So is the setup allowing these guys to do it? Do they have some rhythm and some sneak into their game? And do they truly understand what it is, the difference between actually going forward, or do they try to stay back? And you talked about so kindly about my hitting, but it's just everybody's a hitting coach. What do they always want to say? Stay back, stay back, stay back, stay back. Well, stay back to me is like kickstands and pogo sticks and high front sides and high lead sides, and then bad heads, then leads to bad eyes. And then it's just, you got a tough time and you better hope for a hanging breaking ball, right? Other than that, you don't create a lot of margin for error in your swing and so stuff like that. So, looking for some of those kind of characteristics for sure. What does their body look like when their front foot hits the ground? That's just kind of the launch position, right? Are there things that we can work with there? Certainly a lot of things we can teach. Some things I've learned over time that are harder to teach than others. So we are looking for some of those characteristics. And then, we dig deeper too. Like, is he swinging at the strikes, Walter? And is he taking the balls and all that kind of stuff like that? And I try to tell our guys a lot, it's not always about what you are swinging at. A lot of times it's what you're not swinging at, and if we can be good at what we're not swinging at, then that's called leverage, and then leverage is hopefully equates to maybe more fastballs or more big whites of the plate, or, all those things that good hitters need to do, because the pitcher obviously is in control in a lot of different ways, right? 60 feet, 6 inches away on an elevated surface in the middle of the field, if he wants to throw it at your head, behind your head, spin it, split it, change it. Some people think they can knuckle it, whatever it might be, but they all have the advantage. And so we've got to have some of these, um, movements and rhythms and sneaks and seeing it early and showing the propensity that like, that's a ball, man. I'm going to take that. And so I'm really looking at guys this deal. Can they walk? You know what I mean? Do they lay off pitches in the dirt? Do they lay off fringy stuff? So that they can get themselves into good hitting positions. And then, like I said, do they walk? Are they courageous enough to get hit by the pitch? Because, part of hitting or offense is touching first base. Yeah, we all like to run past it because that's a double or a triple or possibly a homer. But like, there's just a lot of different ways that we can get this thing ignited. And a lot of it does start with, what pitch we are or aren't swinging at. And so looking at a lot of those types of characteristics. And then, just your natural things too, like, is there bat speed, right? Can he swing fast and not hard? I didn't say hard, I just say swing fast. And a lot of that's the body position that we think we can teach them, and some torque and all that kind of stuff like that. But yeah, I would say that those are kind of some common characteristics that we're looking for just initially before we even start talking about, the swing or anything like that.
So tell me, how do you feel about all these analytics and metrics? I find, especially in the world of Twitter, we get a lot of minutia, a lot of 50-cent words. We want to talk about taking credit for this particular batting stance and style. And I always tell parents, I go way back old school, and I say, if you look at guys like Rod Carew, George Brett, a guy like Phil Plantier way back in the day with this really super, super crouch position, everybody has a different, I guess, starting point. But at the end of the day, when they get into foot strike, they're in an athletic balanced position and they make consistent ball strike. At the end of the day, wouldn't you say that's really all that matters? When we're looking at hitters, if they're on time and they're constantly barreling up baseballs, do we really care how they're getting there if they're doing it consistently?
I certainly don't,
Right.
and that's half the battle. Um, I'm certainly not into cookie cutter. You made reference to the analytics. It's a big part, Walter, of what's going on now. I oftentimes I feel a little bit jealous of them because they're a lot smarter than me. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of more like you, a little more caveman-ish. It's like my daily thoughts every day are to like get balls moving at my hitters because hitting is timing, right? And so we want to affect their timing. We'll throw it, sometimes hold it and throw it slower and throw it harder. And we want to see shapes every day. And so we want to affect their timing. We want them to see shapes, but I like ball moving. Even when we're hitting off of tees, our bodies are moving, we're jumping forward, we're striding forward, we're doing a lot of rhythmic things that get us to understand, I don't stay back, I do go forward, separation movements, all those types of things. And then when we actually show up to a tee, it's never really in the same place ever twice, because we start 10 feet behind it. And by the time we work our stride movements and patterns and the actual ability to learn what it is to, as you can see, I'm looking out the pitcher right now and then actually see it early, that's out of his hand, and then actually see it long, which is like down the end of the bat, right? Those are all trained mechanisms. So like body movements and eye training, we do that just solely like when we swing off a tees. We don't ever just stand there and look straight down. We don't just stand and hit a stationary tee. Everything's about moving patterns and learning how to get your body into the good spot. When do I get started? Because I'm a hitter, I'm in control of that. And then it's the margin for error, Walter. It's the width of this screen and more going the other ways you can't even see. It's like good hitters, they can hit out front. They can certainly hit on time. That's kind of the sugar, right? That's the easy one, so to
That's the
speak. And then,
cookie. Right.
yeah, then can you hit out of time on the backside of it too? That to me is margin for error. So we're just constantly trying to get our body into the best possible spot that we can to create as much of that margin for error as possible so that we can hit, kind of like real estate, right? They say, what are the three keys? Location, location, location. For us, it's just like location is out front, on time, and back. And we want to be able to hit all of them in between, because we're not always going to be just right on time and stuff like that. So um, I I know what a hard ball looks like, right? Because I have decent eyes and I understand that it's hit hard. And when it has some backspin and it's going in a gap, I understand launch angle, and those things are important to me, especially when the player's game says, "Hey, a little more, keep it off the ground, a little more in the air." That's fine, but we certainly don't do it with every single person. We try to get to the same body spot with everybody, but we certainly have some different philosophies in terms of what our faster non-power guys are doing with their ball flights, and our bigger, slower guys that have a chance to hit the ball through or over the fence. They're a little bit different. And so, I think as coaches, I don't know if this is getting off tangent a little bit, but everybody always says, like, in any sport, you got to know who you are, and then I think the coach walks away, and what we're trying to do is define this to these kids on a daily basis so that when they're training, whether we're there or not, they can become the best versions of themselves. And we're talking about a batting order here. It's a baton pass 1 to 9, right? And it's just like, I want everybody to understand who the heck they are so that they have the best way to generate our offense and keep the thing moving and all that kind of stuff like that. So,
Well, I think it's great that you're talking about knowing your role, understanding who you are, what your capabilities are, and getting the best out of every hitter, 1 through 9, really 1 through 15 on your bench. The other thing I want parents to understand is, I want you to go back and look at some of the hitters that we're talking about that Coach Jewett has coached. We're talking about not only first round players, we're talking about big leaguers that are winning World Series. We're talking about 1-1s. We're not just talking about getting guys drafted. We're talking about, this is a coach that has worked with extremely high level athletes that have gotten the most out of their abilities, that when they entered college certainly weren't thought to be surefire first rounders, let alone first round first picks. And even at Tulane, I know you had two highly sought after offensive first round draft picks and a couple of All-American shortstops. So parents really need to understand, when it comes to hitting, nobody has all the answers. We're not robots. Your child is not a robot, and no coach should ever look at your son as anything other than as an individual trying to get the most out of them with regard to being an offensive contributor to a college program. So on that note, Juice, tell me a little bit about your recruiting now, West Coast style, as opposed to maybe a little bit down in the Southeast. Vanderbilt and Tulane are kind of in that southern region, and now you find yourself back to your home stomping grounds on the West Coast. How's that been for you this fall with regard to the portal and the high school recruiting?
well, it's been going pretty good, Walter. The thing is that although different location now, a lot of the same schematics, if that's the right word here. We're talking about elite private school education, right? So, I would say most of our kids on the current roster are from, the West Coast, particularly California. But I think the more we get going here with the new staff, it's the same expensive price whether you live right next door to Disneyland or you live in the Northeast. So we feel SC is a national brand, and a school that has more national championships than any other school. It's got 12, Walter, 12. It's been a
Yikes.
while since one. We need to add to that total. It actually has more major league players too, I believe, than any other school. So it's got great baseball tradition. I'm thankful to be a small part of it now going forward. And I just think, Walter, we can be attractive to kids from all over the country. And when you have this kind of education, this beautiful weather, that's an understatement. I forgot. I never lived out in California before, but holy cow. You want to talk about beautiful every day. That's been kind of fun. And just, a great baseball tradition. I think it's a cool place. And then you add Coach Stankiewicz now being the head coach there. This is a awesome human being, number one. But I can't tell you how much I've learned, Walter, just listening to him talk baseball. It's been a pleasure for me. I'm almost like one of the new recruits, so when he speaks, I certainly try to be in the arena so that I can try to learn. I told him the other day, it was kind of funny. I go, gosh, sometimes I don't want to go listen to you because I think I might have been teaching everybody wrong my whole life listening to you. So, but he's really good. But yeah, so it's good. I think we're we've got some juice going with the new coaching staff, the way we're trying to go about it, and hopefully we can continue to attract. We brought in some nice portal pieces, Walter. I think you know this. We got the job, or I didn't. Coach Stankiewicz did, middle of July, right? Not too much time left on the plate. We were able to go out and get quite a few transfer portal pieces. Nice. Got an arm from Notre Dame. We got an arm from Northridge. We got a second baseman, middle infielder from Reno. We've got, some players like that. They've all come in, handled themselves well. And like I said, we haven't really started our team fall ball yet, but I would tell you that a lot of these new guys that we brought in here, I would say that I think they're going to help us make a positive impact on this upcoming season. So got a nice group of high school kids committed. Now they're not signed yet, obviously, because that happens here real soon in November, but we think, we got this ball rolling, and we just got to get it out there, man. We got to show everybody our passion for the university, obviously, and then for just who we are as dads and fathers and baseball coaches, right? And then, I told you about USC, 12 national championships and more big leaguers. I think I'm right when I say that.
You are
Coach
indeed.
Stankiewicz shared something with our team too that I would share with the people out there, and it doesn't make us better than anybody else. It's just true facts. I think it's 15 Omaha appearances amongst our coaching staff, 4 or 5 national titles, and then a lot of those numerous big leaguers that you've talked about. So hopefully this education, this baseball tradition, this coaching staff, and where they've been able to, luckily for me, what I've been able to associate myself with and where I've been able to go, which is middle of the United States in June. That's a good place. So I think there's a nice map, okay, with how this can all work for you, from your education to your player development to your hopes and desires to play elite baseball, and then hopefully why they want to come here is to play in the big leagues.
Well, I know a lot of parents have submitted this question, and it's one that every single discussion ends up getting into. Explain what you feel the role of the high school student athlete is now in light of not only the new changes to the portal, but potentially the creation of these mega conferences. Start talking the 23 in bed. They're about to sign their letters of intent in November. We're really talking about those 24s, 25s, and I guess even 26s to some degree. What's the role of the high school student athlete with regard to recruiting? Would you say the recruiting classes with high school students will be cut? If so, will it be dramatic? Will it be slight? Trying to leave some room for JUCO and transfer portal laterally.
Well, I think you can add the 23s into this mess that we're in, and I say that politely because it is what it is. But Walter, the thing is that the recruiting in my mind has become a little bit unhumanistic, and it's kind of hard to swallow for me. But at the same time, I guess everybody has to do what they have to do. But now I'm going to start by saying this. If you're a high school kid, you can't control the portal. You can't control if the coach is going to do this or do that. All you can control is kicking butt. How about that for good language? In class, you know what I mean? Do good in school, because those are opportunities that will be positive for you. You can't say they're not, you know what I mean? So set yourself up academically. You want to do really well in school and you want a private school education and all that kind of stuff like that, then it becomes even more important. Okay. But we all understand that is number one. Okay. Nobody can take that from you. And then it's just like, have a dream, man. Chase it. Don't worry about, everybody's going to the portal now and all that kind of stuff like that. You just got to be present, man. You got to be where your feet are. We're going to find you, if it's not us, it's University X, Y, or Z, Division 1, 2, or 3. That's kind of a rhyme. You see, it's just like, it just doesn't matter. So there's all kinds of deals. And all you got to do is just invest in yourself and your team to be the best version of yourself, so that when a possible opportunity would come, You're ready for it. If that's a school that's coming, they're coming. And when you say yes to them and they say yes to you, you darn sure hope at that time that whatever portal spots they have or transfer spots, that they have one less now because I've committed to them and they've committed to me. Now, that will be up for that person to decide in the recruiting process if that's the case. But I will tell you, more and more talk on the street, Walter, is like, why would I go get a high school kid that's a good player? Don't get me wrong, but I can get a guy maybe that's got 2 years experience and, da da da. And we all know baseball is becoming more and more like win now, like the right people are paying more attention to it. There's a lot of different things. And so people are going to do what they got to do to get on that winning side of things. And a lot of times, how do you win? Good players, And so with that being said, people can get affected because as well as I do, this November we talked about, this signing period that's coming up, there's going to be some people that think they're going to sign at those schools that aren't. I promise you. They might not know it yet, but it's going to happen. And then it could go all the way through the spring, and they could have signed, and there's going to be some people that are going to be told that don't show up because you might have struggled this or we need that, and so now it's just an option. But I'm trying to sell my house right now. There's a lot of different things going on, right? I can only control what I can control. And so I think the high school kid out there, just keep your head down, man, and be aware and all stuff like that, but just try to kick butt, man. I want to go to SC. Okay, let's go. Then what do you have to do to make that a reality? Do good in school, be a good teammate, play hard, be productive, all the things that are important, but and then hopefully it works out for you, but you don't sit around and think like, woe is me and I got no shot and da-da-da, because there'll still be a percentage of high school kids that are going to make it.
Well, I'm going to ask you a tough question because I know I can, and I know you'll give me an honest answer. I think a lot of kids today are misled through the travel ball world, especially at early ages. And when I say early ages, I'm talking 6 years old to 14 years old, that anything they're doing at those ages and regarding how competitive their schedule is and all the training that they do is going to help with regard to college. And to me, I think that's a lot of BS. It's a lot of total 100% grade A premium BS. The facts are at 13 through 15, you got to begin to get into the physicality of being an athlete. And because at today's game, we want to talk about what the separators are. So tell me the truth. You looking at 2 athletes that play the 2 positions. One is 6'3", 165 pounds. The other 6'3", 215 pounds. And he's got a physical presence. And he has a work ethic, and you can tell that he's got that work ethic because of the body. Tell me the truth. Who's the guy that's going to get the first look to prove himself? Is it the guy that's 165 or is it the guy that's 215?
6'3", 215.
All day long, twice on Sunday.
All day long, twice on Sunday, any day that ends in Y, no doubt. I'm just going to tell you, as you know, because we spent a lot of time on a cage, I love big, strong, fast guys. Big, strong, fast guys. I don't say I don't dislike little, strong, fast guys. I like big, strong, fast guys. And 6'3", 205, 210 coming out of high school. Ooh, yeah, that's like this guy's working at his body. He understands. He's going to come in a head start. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that.
I just think we're spending way too much time. I as a parent, I'm talking solely as a parent, wasting too much time with showcases and spending time traveling over here in November, December, January, Martin Luther King birthday. Get in the weight room. I mean, everybody's worried about the portal and they're worried about the transfers. You need to understand that if you spend your time in the classroom, if you spend your time sleeping, eating properly, getting in the weight room. I don't care how many sports you play. You play football, you're going to be in the weight room. You play hockey, you're going to be in the weight room. It's the same thing for baseball, but yet most student athletes and their families show up on a campus visits and they, oh my gosh, look at the size of these guys. Look how strong. Look how I tell people all the time, Connor Harrell was a machine. He was like the $6 million man. He was like a 6'3", chiseled 210, 215. He could hit bombs all day long, but he was an elite athlete. It takes time to get your body into that kind of that state of, okay, daily disciplines and routines. Not enough college coaches come out and say, hey, this is what we're looking for. When your feet hit campus, you're ready to compete. We need you to be ready to compete.
Walter, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no, you're not interrupting.
The one common thing that a lot of these young high school kids, when you're recruiting them young, guess what the first thing they want to say, a lot of them? I want to play right away. Tell me I'm going to play right away, or which we never would, right? You got to compete. And if I tell you the non-truth and all of a sudden you don't, then I'm a liar. And that's not good for relationships and trust and all the things that are important. But and so everybody wants to come in and play right away. I want to go to a program. I want to find a place where I can get in there and play right away. Well, part of getting in there, play right away is going to be like your physicality. I hate to tell you, but that's going to be a huge part of it. So I do agree. This is a game, Walter, that takes a lot of reps and adjustments. It certainly does. More than football, right? Because we don't get pounded like they do and all that kind of stuff. I understand that. It takes a lot of reps and adjustments, but there has to be a physical and a mental reset stage of these young people's lives, right? You just can't play baseball 12 months of the year and just it's like your arm's going to get beat up, your body's going to get beat up. It's not going to be in the weight room as much as it needs to. The best elite athletes that are playing this game at the highest level, when they get done, like either now because they're not in the playoffs, or these that are lucky enough to be chasing the World Series too, there is going to be a mental and a physical shutdown. For how long? Not for the entire offseason, but there will be one. And that's the body recuperation. It's the mind recuperation, so that they can get back into their buildup process to then be ready for spring training. We have to have that same kind of
Amen.
map, right? Like, I know it's not spring training, but it's like spring ball or whatever it might be. You'd be surprised, especially where I'm learning in these great places with great weather. Walter, I mean, they're playing every day, man. It's not every day, but there's a lot of ball going on. And, everybody's still having camps and all that. In a lot of ways, it's good, and in a lot of ways, I think it can be counterproductive. So I think it's the kid and the family's kind of making that decision about what's the balance, where is my academic, where is my physical development, the weight room balance, and then my showcase abilities to get out there and play well. I would tell everybody this, whether you're playing in a showcase or whatever it is, play to win, man. Like, do whatever it takes to win. Like, I just want to see kids that play good baseball. There's no doubt about it. But, I want to see the knack of, moving a guy over in the eighth. Important to put a ball in play with 2 strikes here and a runner on third base because my team's going to win. You can do all this inside of a showcase setting still. You think you're getting recruited as it is, you see how you double your opportunities. I promise you that.
Well, I think we're telling parents, I think the message that comes from a variety of different places with regard to dollar signs is we're all worried about a destination at the ages of 6, 7 through 13 or 14. We're not enjoying the journey. We're certainly not developing a passion for the sport. And I think really at the end of the day, I think that's really where the train will come off the tracks. But I do have 2 questions I have to ask real quick because I promised Miss Tracy we'd have 30 minutes. You're in the big house this week. So want to know, a question came in, how does a student athlete or a family from, say, South Dakota get on the map with Travis Jewett at USC?
Great question. One, reach out. I'm not afraid of responding to an email. I'm really not. And actually, if I get a personal one to all you guys out there, I try. I can't promise you it's 100%. Nothing in life is probably 100%. But if I see a personal email, I'm either going to try to dig into it with the coach, or I'm going to at least shoot you back, say thank you, maybe tell you about our camps, tell you about your summer or high school plans, and that's what you got to do. So in your research, sometimes you have to be the first one to step out. It doesn't always have to be the school that makes the first initial contact. If you have some interest in a high academic school and a great weather and California, this, that, and the other, then reach out. If you have something over there, sometimes you just got to reach out and you just got to let people know that you're interested. A lot of times that works. And then, I know I'm going to say it on here. It's camp. I don't get any camp money. Okay. And the camps aren't that expensive,
Right.
but I'll tell you this, if it fits inside of your playing cycle and you're healthy and you're ready and you're lubed up and you're ready to go show off and do your thing, they're not a bad thing. Could you imagine spending $300 to go to a camp at University X that you're really interested in, and it led to a baseball scholarship of any level? I mean, would that be $300 well invested? Just like getting on underneath the bar in the weight room, that's investment, right? Going to school and studying, that's investment. This is an investment, and it can turn into some very positive things for you. If it were to work out that way. You also find out some things that maybe you don't like. You're like, Coach Jewett is crazy. Like, I ain't going to school there. He talks gibberish, or, I don't like that vibe, or I didn't like the campus, or, whatever it might be. So that's all part of it when you're trying to make a quality decision. So that's getting a little bit off tangent, Walter, but like, you're in South Dakota, don't be afraid to email me. And I think I would, be safe to say that a lot of coaches would take that on and let them know you're interested.
Well, let's make sure everybody knows what your Twitter handle is. Throw that out there.
Was it T. Jewett?
T. Jewett on Twitter. So you should be following that. That'd be a good start. So I'm going to wrap this up with 3 yes or no questions. Just simple yes or no. Super conferences. Super conferences, are they going to be in our future by 2025?
Yes.
Okay. Transfer portal, is it with us permanently?
Yes.
Do you feel, this is not a yes or no question, do you by 2020 the COVID extra year roster logjam, whatever we're going to call it, will that have eased out, or will that be with us as far as older college players? Are we stuck with our college baseball roster is going to be 20 to 23 as opposed to 18 to 22, 21? Yes, and yes.
Yes, and yes. Yes. Because we thought, like, just real quick, I know you said it wasn't yes or no, so I'm going to expand.
Yep.
We gave us extra roster spots because of COVID, right? And now it's like, okay, but everybody's having a tough time catching up, so it's like more extra spots. Now it's like 20 rounds in a draft, not 40 anymore, right? They eliminate teams, so the opportunities are less. And so I think that, like, you're probably going to see the roster limits on the college teams probably stay up in that maybe 40 range, which would be good, right? Because it gives everybody a thing. Now, what we need to do is we need to get the baseball scholarships up, 11.7, it's tough, but, create more opportunities, because that's what we're doing for people, Walter, right? We're just
exactly
more
correct.
Opportunities for people.
Right. Exactly
we're giving
correct.
more roster spots. We got NIL this, we got all this stuff, like, and it's all about the players, which I love, right? I'm a players coach. You know that about me. So I want these opportunities for them. So let's start getting in the game with the scholarships. 11.7 for 35, that ain't doing it. And then the coaches, 3 paid and 1, they call them a volunteer, but hey, I've never seen a volunteer show up and stay around so much before in my life. It just doesn't match the title.
Right.
But we have the worst player to coach relationship number wise in any sport. So I think that needs to go up. We need to have more player to coach relationships that way. And then, we need to have more scholarships because school costs money, some more than others. Could you imagine? I would venture to tell you, and you know this well because your son attended one school that looks just like the one I'm at now, just a different color. How many people would possibly lose out on those opportunities just because of the cost? A
Correct.
lot, right? A lot of them. We have to walk. And I think we've done a good job, Walter, since we got to SC. There was only about 16 or 17 guys on scholarship when we got here. We're already up to almost the max now. And Coach Stankiewicz is like, he's fired up. He's loving it, right? But there's sometimes you just have to offer the player what we have and what the value is. Not because he's bad, but we're trying to build a team. And so all of a sudden, we get people that can't afford it, want to afford it, and understand the educational value and the development that's going to happen. And they got to pay. It's the ability, you got to pay money to make money. And if we get a bunch of those, then we got it. But there's certain people that even though they might agree with that, fiscally, they can't do it. And so we'll lose out on really good players that really like us, and go gosh, I want to play for Coach Stankiewicz and get that degree, but I just can't afford the balance. Well, if we're doing all these things for student athletes, right, and then come on, man, let's do this. Now, that's just me, the BP thrower, talking out loud and from my heart, because I just want what's good for everybody. What's it seems like we're trying to do, right? So I think if we get more coaches, get the scholarships up, I think everybody's going to be happy, and I think we're going to be able to create more of these opportunities for kids.
Well, I think with the emergence, I guess is the best way to describe it, of college baseball with JUCO baseball now with an ESPN contract, all the big conference, money that comes in during baseball season. Baseball is now, I would argue, more exciting to parents and student athletes at the collegiate level, regardless of the division or level. And people want to watch that on television. So I would think that money needs to get reallocated out from whether it's the NCAA or whatever emerges with the super conferences, back to the athletes, back to those who are performing, back to those that are, doing the time and the practicing and the preparation, allow them the benefit of receiving an academic education at some of these tremendous universities and colleges across the country. So I hope all of that stuff comes to fruition. I really believe in my heart it will. And I think it will be as soon as possibly 2025. So, Coach Jewett, I want to say thank you. As always, you never failed to disappoint. You are always truly a gentleman, a scholar, and a tremendous voice of college baseball. I wish you nothing but success. While I am here in January and February and it's below zero and 10 inches of snow, I hope you're getting sunburn. And maybe not enjoying the beach as much as I am shoveling my driveway. So thank you, Travis. Please say thank you to Miss Tracy for allowing you 30 minutes of your time this evening. Welcome back to NOLA. Safe travels back to California. I want to encourage everybody. Reach out to Coach Jewett if you have a question. You want to email him. You want to follow him on Twitter. He's a very approachable coach. He's a very informational-based coach. You'll learn a lot. If you have an opportunity to hear him speak, pull up a chair, get a paper and pencil, take some notes. Next Thursday evening, Texas A&M head coach Jim Schlossnagle will be joining us, and we'll talk 12th man and all good stuff about the SEC here at the Coach's Corner. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel at Baseball Lifer. Until next week, let's go watch some playoff baseball. Thanks, Juice.
Thank you, Walter.
Adios,
Fight on,
Captain.
y'all. I appreciate you.
Fight on.
Stay in touch. You here. Bye-bye.
All right, Captain.